So we've got a lot of work to do, but I look forward to working with you and getting it done. So the first question is for Ms. Haycock, and it says, can you please go into detail about how the Fry Scholarship change will help ensure degree completion for these students? So we're talking about the students where possibly their parents are active duty or reserve, and the parent had a disability and passed away while not being on active duty. So what difference will this make, this particular bill that I'm sponsoring with the chairman, with regard to those students? Will it help them complete their degrees? And if you want to give us an example, I know of a few, so that people can understand how important this bill is. Thank you.
Sure. So currently these families do fall under the Chapter 35 program, which is just a stipend of about $1,200 a month. The Fry Scholarship is a much more exhaustive benefit with the full in-state tuition, the BAH, the book stipend. Currently, a lot of these children are not necessarily attending the schools of their choice, just because financially they cannot afford to do so. Even though they're eligible for so many of the other same programs, the family gets the same DIC, the same life insurance policy, things like that, this piece is different. And so for these families, it's not even so much about the degree completion, though if they can't afford to go to a school in general, then they're not going to be able to afford to complete a degree, but also giving them the ability to go to the school that they want. So some of the kids we've seen choose to go to a local community college just because they cannot afford to even go to their local four-year school or the degree program of their choice. And so this will help get them into those schools financially, as well as allow them to complete the process. The BAH portion allows students to not necessarily have to work full-time while in school, so that they have more financial freedom to focus on their studies and graduate at a higher rate.
Okay, thank you very much. Next question is for Mr. Murray and Mr. Keeman, the VFW and the American Legion. Are you concerned that eliminating the ability for employers to use arbitration agreements that are in place, all other employees could incentivize employers to not hiring service members in the first place? So we're concerned about our service members being hired and getting good jobs. Are you concerned about this particular issue with regard to arbitration?
We're concerned about essentially losing your rights, being forced into these things in order as a condition of employment. We would obviously discourage employers from not wanting to hire a veteran with the thought that they might deploy in the future, something like that. That runs into discrimination issues, things like that, that we want to encourage them that these veterans are assets, and if they do deploy and have to step away, you should not force them into arbitration as part of the condition of employment. We would hope that employers don't follow that type of practice.
Yes, sir.
Yes, and thank you, sir. And as a reservist right now, I am very sensitive to that issue. And I would be lying if I didn't tell you that I know people in my unit who exclude their reserve service on their resumes because they believe that companies will be less inclined to hire them if they know they have these duties. That being said, we believe that the intent of USERRA is clear in this regard, and that if all a company needs to do is compel forced arbitration, then why did we begin this process in the first place? We know the obligation that our country, that these veterans give to their country, and we need to honor that, and we still believe that USERRA is the best way to do that, and arbitration shouldn't be a part of it.
Okay, thank you. I appreciate it. Now yield back, Mr. Chairman. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Mr. Ranking Member. Mr. Barr is now recognized for 5 minutes.
Thanks once again, Mr. Chairman, and I concur with Ranking Member. Great job in your maiden voyage as chairman of